Such a special place. You know, there's no place on earth like it. And you have to just pinch yourself sometimes to remind yourself where you are. You're in the bottom of the world, you're in such a pristine area. Well, first of all, it is without question a privilege to be down there to see it. I think it's a fair statement to say that most people would give an arm and a leg, as the old saying goes, to see this part of the world. Less than 0.1 of 1% of the Earth's population has ever seen it. Tourists have not been going down there that long. It's only been discovered 200 years ago. So maybe a grand total of people to have ever seen Antarctica from 200 years ago to today might be 750,000, and that might be a bit generous. So when you compare that to the 7 billion people on Earth, it means over the space of 200 years, not many people have had the privilege of seeing these waters. So that's the way I view it, and I know my officers feel the same, and I'm sure our passengers will also feel privileged to see it. Well, it's a big step. Personally, I didn't think that we'd go back. I was hoping for many years that we would, and sure enough, we did. We are going back for the first time in 8 years, and that makes a lot of people happy, including myself. Well, I've been very fortunate. This is my fifth time now on 5 different ships. In 2004, I was there on the old Royal Princess. That was a favorite of both passengers and crew for many years. It was a wonderful ship. And then the following year, 2005, on the old Regal Princess, another popular ship. 2006 on the Golden Princess, and 2007 on the Star Princess. And now returning all those years later on the Coral Princess. So I've had the very good fortune to have been down to Antarctica on all 5 Princess ships that have ever done it. I went the first 3 times as staff captain, and the last time as captain on the Star Princess, the second captain under the master Bob Oliver. So I was very fortunate to get all that experience, and I think that played a big role in the selection process. got a very tight team. Obviously, I can't unfortunately be on the bridge 24 hours a day, so I need a lot of support, and I've got some great support on this trip in particular. We have two very experienced ice pilots, Bob Parsons, a U.S. pilot who spent many years in Antarctica, and Waldo Arredondo. He's a Chilean pilot who also worked in the Antarctic quite frequently. So between the two of them, they have over 5 decades of ice experience. So I'll be deploying them on the night shifts. One will work 6 hours and the other will work 6 hours overnight, and they'll be on call during the day. Also on board we have Captain Paulo Rivera. He's familiarizing with Antarctica. It's his first trip down. He'll be the captain next year on the Coral Princess when the Coral comes down, so he's got to get a good familiarization trip in here. So we're going to make sure that he sees all the parts. By the time we've done the 3rd Antarctic of the season, he will have seen all of it. That's the goal. And then of course we have a very good bridge team here. Our senior officers will be splitting the shifts as well. We'll always be in what's called yellow manning, meaning there will always be one senior officer in the bridge in addition to the 2 normal bridge officers. There's a senior watchkeeper and a junior watchkeeper. And we will also have 3, sometimes 4 lookouts on the bridge. We also have a special infrared camera that'll pick up ice where the sun goes below the horizon. As for myself, I'll be doing all the hours between 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night, and also on immediate call for any other time. And I will likely spend about up to 6 hours on the other shifts as well. So I anticipate being on the bridge about 17 to 18 hours a day, but officially straight through from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. But on call for very quick notice. it will get cold. It is Antarctica after all. But based on my experience in previous cruises, our guests have done a good job bundling up. And for our part, guest services, we're going to make sure that we've got hot chocolate on the go, and we'll try to keep people warm with drinks and hot food as we go along. There are strict environmental guidelines that we need to follow, so everybody will have to understand if we don't serve certain things on deck, we can't risk anything blowing off the ship. But in following all the guidelines, we can still provide support to all our guests and make them as comfortable as possible.
People often wonder, why is Antarctica colder than the Arctic? They're both poles. Why is South Pole and Antarctica colder? Well, the reason is there's no other continent touches it. It's completely isolated. And around that is a buffer zone, if you will. And you can tell that you've crossed into this imaginary line by closely observing the sea temperature. So in about 2 or 3 hours, as I say, we'll expect to see the sea temperature drop about 2 degrees, get 2 degrees colder, and that's when we know, okay, we've crossed that imaginary line.
All unique. For example, the historic sites, then you've got the large icebergs, you've got the scientific stations, and you've got the scenery. So each day has something to offer. So to pinpoint a favorite, I don't know, I love it all. And I think our guests will love it all too. It's quite spectacular and very special. island's very famous for where Shackleton's men from the Endurance expedition were stranded for 4 months, so everybody's going to get a chance to see that right off the bat. And when you arrive at Elephant Island, quite frequently the visibility is reduced, clouds, overcast. It's quite forbidding when you first see it, and sets quite the tone and atmosphere right from the beginning that you're entering someplace very special. There are, of course, groups and people and organization and media who think that maybe the ships are too large, or ships are too large to go down, and it's too many people going down. But that's a fair argument, I suppose. But conversely, there's an equally persuasive argument to say that the more people that see it, the better. As in, those people can pass the word on what a special place it is, how pristine it is, and why we need to work so hard to protect it and keep it that way for future generations. It's like a thermostat for the planet. You know, when things happen in Antarctica, it affects the whole world. So the more people that see that, I think that's a tremendous benefit. from Arpitowski on the bridge. We're now ready to speak to you. And I'm going to pass you first of all to Joanna. She is the chief of the base. Is that right, Joanna?
Yes.
Yes, she says. Okay, so I'm going to pass the microphone to Joanna. She's going to start it off and speak to you about what she does.
Hello everybody. Welcome in Antarctica Bay. It's a beautiful place in the Antarctica station. So as to introduce me, I'm a chief of the station. Now there are 18 people here in the station and 2 others in the nearby Bay. And we do a lot of things there, but our main tasks are environmental monitoring, and the most important is ecological monitoring without penguins and pinnipeds. Of course, it's more complicated what we do, but it will take the whole day to explain it. So I will speak briefly. The other thing is meteorological monitoring, hydrological, glaciological, and marine. It's science part, but it all can work also because of technicians that work in the stations. So there are also engineers, mechanic, IT specialists, and lots of various people have to work to make the station to make the station is work.
And how long do you stay at the base?
We arrived to the base at the 6th of December, so already now we are 5 to 6 weeks, and most part of the team will stay till the end of March, and the rest probably till November this year.
So it is a year-round station. It's open all year.
The station is open the whole year.
And how do you get selected to come to Arpitowski? Do you volunteer?
There is a kind of competition, right? So everybody can send his CV and so on. And for example, during our year, there was 1,500 people who wanted to come here. Right? Yeah, exactly. So many people wanted to work here. And first of all, the director of the institute had to select people, and of course the people who work with him. And from those 1,500 people, I think they have chosen, I don't know, 70 people or so who were on the meeting, right? So that was the first selection. And the second selection was that, for example, I think that about, I don't know, 5 or so people were on every single position, yes, exactly. And there were some questions connected with the job, but also with, for example, if somebody knows how to cook, because it's very important as well, right? And how he behaves in different situations. So some questions could be a little bit tricky. And after this, actually the director has decided who is going to go, right? The director and the leader, actually, right? Because those people, the leader of the expedition, because they are deciding who is coming to the station. And after that, there was actually the next thing, which were some medical exams, yes, something like that, right?
Do you have a doctor?
Lots of doctors, lots of them, yeah, connected with everything actually, to see if we are healthy enough to go here, right? Because it's not, you know, we are off the beaten track, so anything is around us, so it's very important to be really healthy, right, to go here. And after that, we can say that everybody was ready to go here on this moment, right? But still, we had some things to do, right? To take care of our positions, right? Because everybody had to see what kind of job we had to do, and after that. I can say that we were ready to here, right? And also we had some meetings in which we were together, right? To meet the other people, to see what kind of people are coming with us, right? Because it's very important as well, right? Even psychological as well, with a psychologist, right? To meet each other. And I think that it was pretty important to meet each other, to see how we behave in different situations, also connected with stress, which is very important as well, because here, when we are far away from everything and we don't see our families, for example, we can behave a little bit different, I think, sometimes, right? That's, sometimes we can be a little bit stressed because of something, right? So, yeah, I think that such situations were, such simulations were very, very important to it.
How did you come down? Did you guys come by ship or by plane? And if so, from where? Did you go to the Chilean airstrip?
Okay, so my name is Justyna, I work as a Zodiac driver, and in fact part of us, few people came a little bit earlier, around the end of August last year, and we came by plane to Chile, then by plane to the island, and by helicopter to the station. The rest of the crew, they flew to Chile as well and to the island, but finally they came by vessel to the station. So that's how it is. It really depends what time of the year it is, because there are different possibilities during the summer and during the winter time.
And what do you do for fun on the base? Recreation?
Well, first of all, we do have a small gym, so we can do some sports. If somebody prefers to walk or run, of course it's possible as well. We are taking the bath in the bay from time to time, some of us. And of course we have the movies, music, dancing, and whatever we like to do. During the winter you can go skiing around, so it's really nice.
My name is Paulina. I tried to say something in English. It was my biggest trip to be here. I'm responsibility for a survey for touristic in Antarctica. I help our crew in the kitchen.
What's the hardest thing? What did you not expect?
To be honest, I expected that this is so adventure, but it's a hard work too. We work not 8 hours per day, but it's great. This is that we are so long for our family that is important. But I feel great here. Justyna had said I started to take a bath in a sea, and this is the great experience.
And how often do you speak to your family, or do you email your family?
We have internet, and we can give information for our family, friends every day. It's important. It's okay.
My name is Thomas. I work here like a drone pilot. I make some videos and photos, and I came here because I work in the north. And I want to check how live like here on another side of the world.
Okay. What's any surprises when you came here? Something that was harder than you thought?
I expect.
Was it colder than you thought?
Yes, I expect more colder and more wind, more strong wind.
I'm Sabina, and I'm a marine observer, so I'm not an ecologist connected with penguins. But yes, about penguins, we've got here three different colonies, three different species of penguins. The first one is Adelie penguin. Is the one which has got firstly the black eye, and then it has some kind of a ring, right, over it, the white one. So that's the first one. The second one is Gentoo, yes, the Gentoo penguin. It's pretty beautiful because it has white eyebrow. And the third one is kind of, it looks like it has some mask. And the name of it is Chin's trap. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We call them policemen.
Yeah, a policeman.
Policeman,
Yeah, that's
yes,
the better name of it. And mainly in these colonies there are the Adelie penguins, but a little bit farther there are the different ones as well. And the ecologists have to take care of a very wide open area in which they are living, right? So they've got lots of walking, and I think that it's unusual. It's so incredible that they have to take care of them in the way that they have to come to the colony. And the thing that they do is to see some concrete families. They don't look at every yeah. But for the special families which are somewhere in some concrete places, and in which they've got a nest, some kind of nest, and they see if there are, for example, eggs. Firstly, and if it's one or two, because maybe penguins may have one or two children, and then they are observing how they are growing up, right? So that's the main thing of penguins.
It's difficult to say what's the hardest part because my team is very good and I don't have to confident a lot of what they know what they have to do. So
And what is your specialty? You're a biologist?
I'm a geographer, hydrologist. So first time when I was there I was working as marine meteorological observer and later for the ecological observation. But it's my first time there. I was chosen for the trip because I experienced like more space. And I like it.
What's your favorite research that you do? Your favorite? Very interesting.
I don't know. But in general, I like everything that is connected to the water.
With the water.
Seawater and water.
Any whales along there? Whales?
Yes, we have met whales quite often.
Can you say something about the whales?
There are two whale species that are common here, the humpback and pink whale. And now is the time of the year for observing because they came to grill. So there are days that we can see, for example, 10 whales in the bay.
Does anybody else have anything you'd like to add? All right, well, thank you very much to all of our scientists. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of insight on the actual working base in Antarctica.